He's described as a white man in his 20s or 30s, between about 5'9" and 6 foot. He's of proportionate build, with short, dark hair.
He is a detached, arrogant monster who is a danger to the public. He's probably one of the most frightening individuals that I've had the opportunity to deal with in my police career.
September 25th, 2005, 6:30 a.m. A neighbour steps outside their house on Blenheim Crescent in Croydon, South London, for what should be a completely ordinary Sunday morning. Instead, they find an 18-year-old girl lying in a pool of blood, barely clothed, 10 yards from her own front door. Her name is Sally Anne Bowman, and someone turned her final walk home into her last moments on Earth. The question isn't just who killed Sally Anne Bowman, it's how a monster walked the streets for 9 months after brutally murdering her, and how many others he'd hurt before her name ever made the news. Let me tell you about Sally. This wasn't just any teenager. 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, already signed with a modelling agency at 16. Face of Swatch watches. People compared her to Kate Moss. She went to the Brit School, the same place that produced Adele, Amy Winehouse, Jessie J. Her dream? Cover of Vogue. And honestly, she was probably going to get there. But dreams don't matter when you're lying dead on a driveway at 18 years old. September 24th, 2005. Saturday night. Sally's out with her older sister Nicole and friends at Lloyd's Bar in Croydon. CCTV cameras capture her laughing, dancing, looking like any other teenager having a good time. Then Nicole gets into a fight. Sally decides it's time to go home. Here's where it gets interesting. She calls her ex-boyfriend, Lewis Sproston. They'd broken up recently, messy relationship, accusations of cheating on both sides, the whole toxic spiral. But she needs a ride, so she lies to him. Tells him Nicole's been arrested. Gets him to pick her up around 2:20 a.m. The drive home? Not romantic. They're arguing the whole way, both throwing accusations, both refusing to back down. Around 4 a.m., Sally's had enough. She gets out of the car about 100 yards from her house. Lewis drives away. She starts walking toward her front door. She never makes it inside. 4:15 a.m. Screams pierce through the quiet neighborhood. A couple living nearby hears it, looks out their window. They don't see anything. They go back to bed. That decision will haunt them, because in those few seconds they looked away, someone was brutally attacking Sally Anne Bowman with a knife. When her body is discovered 2 hours later, the scene is horrific. 7 stab wounds, 3 to the neck that nearly decapitated her, 1 to the abdomen. Defensive wounds on her hands where she tried to fight back. 3 stab wounds were so strong they passed through her body, but the killer didn't stop there. After stabbing her, either as she lay dying or already dead, he raped her. Bit her face, bit her breast. Left his DNA all over her body like some sick calling card. Then he stole her belongings, handbag, cardigan, underwear, mobile phone, like trophies. And then he vanished. Police do what they always do, look at the people closest to the victim. Lewis Sproston becomes their prime suspect almost immediately. He was the last person to see Sally alive. They'd been arguing. Recent breakup. History of a toxic relationship. September 25th, just hours after the body's discovered, police arrest Lewis. They interrogate him for 4 straight days. Newspaper headlines scream about the jealous ex-boyfriend. The public's already convicted him. But then the DNA results come back. Lewis's DNA isn't at the scene. Not on her body, not on her clothes. Nowhere. 4 days of interrogation and they've got the wrong guy. Lewis is released. Now the police have a problem. They've got semen, saliva from bite marks, a full DNA profile of the killer, but no match in the database. No name, no suspect. Just a ghost. Detective Superintendent Stuart Cundy launches a massive investigation. They need to find this killer before he strikes again. Because whoever did this to Sally, This wasn't his first time. The brutality, the violence, the calculated trophy-taking, this was someone experienced. Police start testing DNA samples. They collect from 771 local men over the following months. Every single one comes back negative. They appeal to the public, release descriptions, ask for witnesses, set up a dedicated hotline.
In his 20s or 30s, between about 5'9" and 6 foot. He's of proportionate build, with short, dark hair.
The case starts going cold. Weeks turn into months. The media moves on to the next story. Sally's mother, Linda Bowman, appears on TV begging for information. Still nothing. 9 months pass. The killer's still out there, and police have no idea who he is. June 15th, 2006. Hawley, Surrey, about 15 miles from where Sally was murdered. A pub called Ye Olde Six Bells is packed with people watching the World Cup. England's playing. The drinks are flowing. The atmosphere's electric. Then a fight breaks out. Nothing major, just drunk guys being idiots. Police arrive. They break it up. One of the men involved is a chef who works at the pub. Blonde curly hair, Australian accent. Everybody calls him Aussie. His real name is Mark Dixie. They arrest him for the brawl. Standard procedure: take a DNA sample, file a report, let him go. 2 weeks later, a forensic scientist runs Dixie's DNA through the database for the assault charge. The computer lights up with a match. Sally Anne Bowman. Perfect match. The police can't believe it. After 9 months of dead ends, the killer literally fell into their lap over a random pub fight. Here's where this gets darker, because Mark Dixie wasn't just some random guy who snapped one night. Born September 24th, 1970. First arrest at 16 for mugging a woman at knife point. By his early 20s, he's racked up convictions for burglary, robbery, indecent assault, indecent exposure. 1993, he moves to Australia, overstays his visa. June 1998, Perth, Australia. A Thai student is home alone when someone breaks in. He stabs her 8 times, rapes her while she's bleeding out, convinced she's dying. She survives, barely. Her DNA evidence gets filed away in an Australian database. 1999, Dixie gets deported from Australia for, surprise, exposing himself to a female jogger. He comes back to the UK, works as a chef, bouncing from restaurant to restaurant, pub to pub. Heavy drinker, cocaine addict, going through an ounce of weed and £150 worth of coke every week. Everyone thinks he's fun, life of the party. Can drink 10 pints in a night and still be standing. His girlfriend, Stacey Nivet, tells a different story. When he was high, he'd get aggressive, violent. He'd bite her neck during sex. September 1st, 2005, she leaves him and takes their baby. 23 days later, Sally Anne Bowman is murdered. Here's what investigators piece together. September 24th, 2005. Dixie's 35th birthday. He throws a party, invites friends, wants Stacey to come, hoping they can reconcile. She refuses. He loses it. Friends at the party notice he's different that night. Usually the life and soul, but now he's moody, aggressive. He starts drinking heavily, doing lines of cocaine. The binge continues into the next day, 4 days straight of alcohol and cocaine. That night, early morning of the 25th, he's prowling the streets, high out of his mind, armed with a knife. First, he attacks a female motorist, steals her phone. A taxi shows up, and she escapes. Then at 4:15 a.m., he sees Sally Anne Bowman walking alone. Pure opportunity. When police come to arrest Dixie at the pub, they're planning some elaborate ruse to get him out of the kitchen without causing a scene. But as they arrive, Dixie's outside on a cigarette break. They arrest him right there, and one of the officers later notes something chilling. Dixie's heart rate doesn't change. Not even a flutter. Like getting arrested for murder is just another Tuesday. In the interrogation room, every question gets the same response. No comment. but when they search his room, they find something that makes their blood run cold. Dixie's been collecting photos and videos of Sally Anne Bowman, news clippings, media coverage, and he's been masturbating to them. He's been reliving the murder for 9 months. February 2008. Mark Dixie's trial begins at the Old Bailey. He pleads not guilty. His defense? Absolutely insane. He admits to having sex with Sally. The DNA proves it, so there's no point lying. But he claims he just stumbled upon her body on his way home, thought she'd passed out drunk, decided to rape her, and only realized she was dead when he bit her cheek and she didn't respond. His defense is literally, "I only raped her corpse, I didn't kill her." The prosecution brings receipts. They fly in 2 of Dixie's previous victims to testify. The woman from Perth in 1998 describes being stabbed and raped in her own home. Another victim describes a similar attack. The pattern is identical. Stab, rape, steal belongings. Linda Bowman sits through the trial hearing every graphic detail about what happened to her daughter. At one point, she has to leave the courtroom in tears. The jury gets the case. 3 hours. That's how long they deliberate. Verdict. Guilty. February 22nd, 2008. Judge Gerald Gordon sentences Mark Dixie to life imprisonment with a minimum of 34 years. But Sally wasn't Dixie's only victim, not even close. Remember that Thai woman in Australia? DNA confirms it was Dixie who attacked her in 1998. Spain, 2003. Dixie committed sexual assaults in Fuengirola. Another man, Romano van der Dussen, a Dutch guy, was wrongly convicted and spent 12 years in a Spanish prison for crimes Dixie committed. 12 years. When Dixie's DNA was finally tested against the evidence in 2015, van der Dussen was exonerated. Linda Bowman actually supported his appeal, saying she was absolutely appalled. An innocent man spent over a decade imprisoned for what Dixie did to someone else. July 2017. Dixie admits to 2 more rapes. One from 1986 when he was just 16. Another from 2002. He raped a 30-year-old woman in her car in Hastings, then tied her up and set the vehicle on fire. November 24th, 2017. 2 more life sentences at Southwark Crown Court. Police reviewed every unsolved murder of lone women in Britain, trying to see if Dixie's DNA matched any other cold cases. This wasn't just a killer. This was a serial predator who'd been operating across continents for over 2 decades. Linda Bowman has written to Dixie multiple times, begging for a face-to-face meeting. She wants to know what he did with Sally's belongings. The handbag, the phone, the clothes he stole. He never responds. Those items are still out there somewhere, hidden, destroyed, or kept as sick trophies. Between 2015 and 2017, vandals repeatedly desecrated Sally's grave, scattered dirt, smashed plant pots, damaged the memorial over and over. The family finally had her remains exhumed and cremated in 2013, bringing her home just to keep her safe. Even in death, Sally couldn't find peace. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night about this case. If the UK had a national DNA database in 2005, police could have identified Sally's killer within 24 hours. Instead, it took 9 months and a random pub brawl. Detective Superintendent Stuart Cundy said it himself. Mandatory DNA collection would have solved this immediately. Linda Bowman campaigned for it, argued that it would prevent miscarriages of justice and catch serious offenders faster. Politicians shut it down. Civil liberties concerns. Meanwhile, Dixie's DNA wasn't in the UK system despite multiple prior convictions. His Australian crimes weren't connected to his UK record. His Spanish attacks weren't linked either. The systems didn't talk to each other. And Sally Anne Bowman paid the price. Mark Dixie is currently serving life at HMP Long Lartin. He's not well liked among fellow prisoners. Prison officers describe him as a coward who preys on vulnerable women. He'll be eligible for parole in 2040, when he's 70 years old. Most people think he'll die in prison. Sally Anne Bowman has a memorial plaque at the Brighty School with the inscription, "My heart will go on." She was 18 years old. She'd celebrated her birthday 11 days before her murder. She wanted to be on the cover of Vogue. Instead, she became a cautionary tale about the monsters who walk among us, the systems that fail to stop them, and the families left behind picking up the pieces. That's the mystery of Sally Anne Bowman. Not who done it, we know who did it. The real mystery is how many victims could have been spared if anyone had connected the dots sooner.